Good morning, guys. Let's get right into the topic. Today's question is, can men love? Or better yet, are men even capable or loving? Are they? Can they? Do they? By the way, I just want to have like a really quick trigger warning because we're gonna touch a little bit on DV and how it's all like related to this topic because it's gonna tie in. Right. So back to the question, can men love? And I'm just going to answer it straight up. Yes. Yes, men do love. They're capable of love. And this is something I've actually really been meaning to talk about for a long time because I know there's like a lot of videos online that says that, oh, men don't know how to love. They're not capable of it. But in my opinion, and by the way, this entire video, all of this is my opinion. This is from all my years on this earth experience, things that I've seen, what I've heard from other people. Um, Pretty much just all anecdotal, but this is my opinion. In my opinion, men can love. Yes, they're capable of it. I think the real question that needs to be asked is, what does it mean? What is a man's definition of love versus what is a woman's definition of love? And that's where the nuance comes in. Men and women don't believe love is the same thing. It's completely different for either one. So what a woman thinks is love versus what a man thinks is love is two completely different things. I have a little story time. So I have a friend, well, he's an ex-friend really. Um, and he's one of those believes in red pill content. He watches that Andrew Twat guy, all of that stuff. Believes that, oh, modern women and men need to go find traditional women in other places. And one day I asked him, I was like, hey, why do you have a problem with like women? Like what is your deal? Like why do you believe that quote unquote modern women aren't ish pretty much? And he looked me straight in the eye and was like, because they're not loyal. Now, this is a guy who told me that he cheated on she was his girlfriend at the time and the mother of his two children. He cheated on her with over 120 women. That's not an exaggeration. That's not cap. Like, I'm being so serious. Like, he dogged her out. And he looked me in the eye and said that men were more loyal than women. And I looked at him and I must have been looking at him crazy because he was like, yeah, because even though like men, we step out on stuff like that, we always come back. Women, they give up. They always want to leave. They're not loyal. So this is like the level of delusion that our men are constantly operating on. Like they're really in a state of like, I don't even have the words. I actually don't even have the words to describe. I guess it's kind of, I've never read it, but there was this book like a really long time ago that says men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Maybe that kind of describes it because like their mind is on a whole different planet from us. It really is. But that's what he believes, that I'm pretty sure a lot of other men believe that his loyalty means him always coming back, and her loyalty or her disloyalty means she wants to leave to save herself. The Lulu, really, really it is. So then obviously like the next question would be like, so if a woman cheats, like is that being loyal? So a woman could cheat as long as she like doesn't dump him, that's good for you? And he was like, oh no, you know how you know what they say, oh, it's not the same. It's not the same. It means like women can't just cheat like that. They're like, that's emotional. But men, we could cheat. That means nothing. Yeah, it's these crazy, crazy talking points that honestly, I say let them, because there's only one consequence of how that story ends. And you know what? You can't save everybody, and let people make their beds and lie in it is what I say. But that's what he believes. Women have no loyalty because they always want to leave, and they want to leave you. I remember he added this, and they always want to leave for someone better. Like men don't do that. But this is like the hypocrisy. Honestly, it's alarming and it's scary. So in his mind, this guy, he loved the mother of his children, girlfriend at the time, and because he came back. So he was the one who actually loved her. And she was the one who never loved him because she left. See, men believe in one way, unconditional love. That's the standard that they have for women. It's like you always come back. I always come back. So why are you trying to leave? They don't understand that. They can't wrap their heads around it. So let's get into what I believe a woman's definition of love is. I believe a woman's love is sacrifice. Like, it's really, if you want to, in my opinion, like I said, everything here is my opinion. So if you have a different opinion, obviously, you're more than welcome to put it down in the comments and let me know your opinion on this. All opinions are welcome, as long as there's no like bashing or cruel words or anything like that. It's accepted. A woman's love is sacrifice because, and I believe that this is kind of like maybe has to do with like evolution, because a woman's greatest love comes out of her greatest torture, pretty much her greatest pain, which is childbirth, or her love for her children. I believe that's a woman's greatest love. And the thing about like that is the pain and the excruciating torture that a woman goes through to get her greatest love. She has to go through the torture first, right? So there's this sacrifice and this pain and the discomfort of like this whole 9 months, then to have to go through labor pains, which can be days for some women, before she gets to experience this great joy, a baby, right? And sometimes in really sad cases, a woman will still have to go through all of that pain and then even more pain. Because what if it's a stillbirth or the baby doesn't make it? So it's not always even guaranteed. So I think in some part of a woman's mind to protect her, there's this idea or this programming that to get love, it's okay or expected or one should expect to suffer. And I think this is why a lot of women have like a really strong affinity and could fall really into struggle love. I think it's kind of like this built-in programming, because if it wasn't for that programming, then women would never have children, and therefore the species would go extinct. So there's got to be some part that is like, okay, you must accept suffering. It's normal as a female to suffer, to have pain. I mean, even like women have pain all the time, like every month, is kind of part of your existence to get something great. I think it's the programming. I'm going to name it pain before the prize. That's love. Love is sacrificing yourself, your wants, your desires, your comfort to reap something so great and beautiful. That's real love to a woman. And I think all other meanings of love that women have are kind of built on this idea that in order to have love, you must give something. Like, you don't just get it, you have to sacrifice or pay some sort of price for love. Like, love is not free to a woman. Okay, it's absolutely not free. So I think most definitions that women have about love can be built off of just that simple foundation of the pain before the prize. Now, a man's definition of love is possession. Men will commit the greatest crimes. I'm talking about war, violence, stealing. All of these things men do is because they want to protect something that they believe is theirs. This is the whole uh, men provide and protect. Yeah, they provide and protect what they believe is theirs, what they have a claim on. Okay, they're not going to provide and protect for some random person that quote unquote belongs to another man. That's why they don't like really taking care of children that aren't theirs because they don't claim them. Unless a man was going to claim those children, like he wants to adopt them or he believes almost like they're his possessions, he's not going to take care of them. He cannot love them. A man can only love what he believes is his. And men will go through any length to take back something that was taken from them. Like territory, like even back in the day, like men fought over territory because it's a possession, because they believe it's theirs and they're willing to do whatever it takes to anybody else to get their belongings back. Anything they believe that they have ownership over, ownership and dominance over, because it's their possession. And I believe this is in their nature. This is some kind of like hardwiring. This is just something that can't really even be changed. Men love things they believe is theirs. That's love. Love is ownership. And I think this is really like something that's been known for like a really long time. And I believe that this may have kind of been the standard for men, that they just thought this was regular. So it was like kind of never stated out loud. This idea of ownership, right? Because think about it with marriage. Question: why do you think that a woman has to give up her name and take her husband's? Actually, no. Let's say, why is when a woman gets married, she's given her husband's last name? Why? Why is that? Why is that a thing? Another question: why do children take their father's names, their last names? Why? Why does the wife have to get the name? Why does the children have to get his name? And when a woman gets married, right? Let's think about this. What happens? If you've been to a wedding, you know what happens, right? The father, okay, of the woman walks her down the aisle, and before he hands her off to another man, what does the person who is officiating the wedding say, right? What's the question? Who gives this woman to be married to this man? And her father, aka her previous owner, right? Because that's whose last name she had, that's her owner, right? He says, I do. And then he takes his property's hand and then hands her over to her new owner. And then they get married, and at the ceremony, she removes her old owner's name, her old slave name, and she gets a new one. She gets her new owner's name. It's the same reason why slaves had like the last names of their owners. Yeah, that's why most Black Americans have kind of similar last names, because these were actually their owners' names that became their last name. They made them give up their African traditional names, and then they all had to have, like, if you were part of like the Williams, if you were one of the Williams slaves, you all had Williams as your last name. That way people know who your owner is. Right? So this is in marriage. This practice still goes on in marriage. The supposed greatest ceremony of love between a couple. Man's love is ownership. It's not sacrifice. It's not giving anything. It's taking. Honestly, like, people just need to start calling marriage what it is. It's a transfer of ownership. And like, it's even more egregious because they don't really do it in America, but I do know because my brother, he married a woman from Ghana, and I remember our brother telling us that like his wife's dad was asking him that he needed to like give them money, like a bride price. Evidently, they still sell humans. it's supposed to be I guess symbolic, but it just kind of hammers home that this really is just kind of like a transfer of ownership ceremony because women were property, right? So my brother said that it wasn't like a lot of money, but he had like her dad, because that's her owner, demanded that he like send them money back to Ghana before they would sell her to him, aka let her get married to him. So he had to pay for his wife. It's sickening. It really, really is. But this is love. That's true love right there for a man. This is the nature of a man's love. Now, even though I find it all gross, I don't even know if I'm like in a place to judge it, because maybe that's just the way it is. Like, this is just what nature intended, right? Because if a man felt that every woman and all peoples or whatever was his to protect, then that's not sustainable, right? Like, that's a handicap evolutionary, because if you believe you have to protect everybody, you'd be spread so thin. So if it's like evolution said, no, we'll make you use all your energy on only those that you believe are yours, those are the ones you'll actually protect and provide for. Because if you was to provide for everybody, like, you'd never even be able to provide for yourself. At that point, you just die. So that's why I think, maybe, I don't know. If you have theories, let me know. It's getting kind of like into maybe a little sociology, maybe a little biology here, about why this is and how societies work, and why is it that men only have a drive to protect, and why they have to feel like they own something and are in control of it in order for them to actually love it. Now, this, I believe, like I said before, like, I really believe that men know this. Like, they know this is their nature. They understand that a woman's nature is sacrifice and theirs is ownership. And I feel like they use this, a woman's nature, like this knowledge that they have of her nature, against women. And this is where we get into like the DV aspect of it, right? This is why I believe men can manipulate women into staying in an abusive relationship. Because and usually the greater the abuse, the greater the bond, the trauma bond is. Because I think some part of a woman, like really deep in her nature, there's this idea that suffering equals love. So the greater the suffering, then the greater the reward, the greater the love, right? Because paying for the price. And I think this is why women will stay in these relationships, because there's this part of them that knows or is okay with or understands that it's okay if I suffer now, but something great is going to be the outcome of all this suffering. Like, it's going to turn out good. It's got to be worth it. Like, it's proportional. The pain that I'm suffering now, like, there's got to be something, some prize, some reward, some love that I'm going to get out of this that's proportional to the pain. So the greater the pain, that means the greater the price, right? And men manipulate women and they use it. And I mean, obviously, abuse isn't like 24/7. Like, that's not sustainable. That wouldn't work. But I think men have figured out that if they kind of tease along the way, like, you have some, maybe out of every 20 bad days, you have like a good one, it reinforced the idea that, see, there's always some kind of like good thing that happens after the suffering. It reinforces this idea that something good is gonna, just keep enduring, something good is gonna come, something good is gonna come, just keep enduring, keep enduring. And I believe this is why a lot of women will stay in these relationships. So there needs to be more grace, in my opinion, for women who stay in abusive relationships. And I'm going to say something like really controversial here, but I believe in their own way, abusers really do believe that they love the woman they're with. Why do I believe that? Because they have power, ownership, dominance, and possession over that partner, right? And the greater your possession and ownership and dominance is, the more you believe, or in their opinion, their interpretation, that's actual love. That's why these relationships can get so toxic so fast, and why these men will stalk these women until like the day they die. This obsession, or what they think true love, like they'll never let it go because they believe that's real love. Like, I believe these abusers, this idea that they have complete control over this person, it becomes like all consuming. Um, his quote unquote love. And this is why, statistically speaking, the most dangerous time, or lethal, really, the most lethal time in an abusive relationship is when the victim is trying to leave the abuser. That's the most dangerous time. That's where you have like the highest mortality rates, right there, when she's trying to leave him. And think about it. If a man's idea is like what this all-consuming love is, right, is all about possession, if the woman is trying to leave him, she's trying to take his possession away from him. And like I said, men, this is what men go to war, die, and kill over: possessions, what they claim is theirs, whether it be land, money, anything, or something that they see that somebody else has that they believe they want to be theirs. They're willing to do anything for it. So if your greatest love is trying to leave you, right, you're willing to do anything, anything to not let it leave, to take it back. You're willing to commit any kind of crime, because it's like somebody's stealing your property. It's like somebody's taking something, that a property that you value in your own way so much. Like, what are you going to do to the person that's trying to steal your property, trying to take your most valuable possession? Right? If the woman is trying to take herself away, like, what are you going to do to that person? What are you going to do to her? Exactly. Exactly. It's sad, but like, a man in his deep state of love, right? He will take out the woman, he will take out the children, and then he will take out himself. That's the level of what they consider love is. That's real love to them, right? Like my friend said, or ex-friend said, love is staying. You never leave. Don't try to leave. That's not loyalty. Like, they want you to stay because staying means they have ownership over you. That's all it is. It's all about possession and ownership. I believe this to be true, right? You don't have to believe this, but maybe even like they say, right? The saying, a broken clock is right twice a day. So even not all of this is true or resonates with you, some parts of it, maybe there's some truth to it. And even if it's just like a little bit, you can still take that as knowledge, and knowledge is power. And keep in mind this information when you're making decisions if you're in an abusive relationship. This is why, under no circumstances are you to ever tell the abusive person that you're with that you're planning on leaving. That's like, that would be the equivalent of you like walking into a jewelry store and looking at the jewelry store's most prized property and possession and saying, hey, by the way, I plan on stealing this, okay? I'm gonna take this away from you, and you'll never see it again. They'll go insane. right? If it's already somebody that's like super unhinged, right? Especially if it's like, or even like a homeless person and they have like a blanket that is theirs that they've had forever, that they believe is like their property, their prized possession. They've put everything into this one blanket, and you walk up to them and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this, okay? I'm gonna take it away from you, and you're actually never gonna see it again." That's the equivalent of you leaving and taking the children and telling a man you're going to do that. He's going to probably react extremely violently. So don't ever do it. Don't do it. It's not like you're warning him because, in your opinion, oh, if you love someone, you will tell them the truth because, your love is sacrifice and you would want to know and all that stuff like that. Like, nah, it's not the same for them at all. It's actually the opposite. Like, that's not what you do at all. It's incredibly dangerous to do something like that. So if you have to leave, you have to do that in silence and in secret, like a cat burglar. Like, have a plan. Don't even tell anybody that's gonna tell him. Like, better yet, just don't even tell anybody at all. Like, call the hotline or a woman's shelter or something. And then when you get to safety, you can tell your family about where you are and what happened. Actually, don't even tell them where you are. Just tell them like what happened, because in their mind, they may think, oh, no, I want them. I'll tell him the truth, not understanding this dynamic that's going on here, right? Because if, you tell somebody and then they tell him, think about it. Somebody steals your prized possession and then somebody tells them, hey, where it's hidden. And now, wouldn't you do anything to get it back? That's what it's like for these men. They truly believe, and I guess they love you, and they'll do anything to get you back, to go and find you, to retrieve their possession, because that's love for them. That would be true love. If they really love you, they'll do anything to get you back. That's like the debate about what's actual love. Is love letting go, or is love never letting go? Men love is never letting go. A woman's love, it's letting go. Letting go is true love. If you love someone, you let them go. That's for women. And for men, if you love someone, you never let them go. I'm pretty sure men came up with the vows till death do us part. And I'm pretty sure they didn't necessarily meant by death by old age. I'm pretty sure the only way they would give you up is if like you weren't in existence anymore. It's scary to think about this, but this is what I believe is the truth. I think in the future I can do a video about maybe advice for people in situations who are in like abusive relationships, and planning, or some resources, or maybe I'll post it in the description. Let me know if you want me to do a video on that topic. Actually, I do have planned to do a video about women who are in financially abusive relationships, tried wifing gone really wrong. I want to do a video to help out women in situations like that. Okay, flipping to maybe looking on the bright side of this dynamic, for the ones who actually like kind of want to still be in a relationship, I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. So I like to give bad news first, because then like you end on a high note. So the bad news is, if a man loves you, he will believe you are his, right? He'll call you mine. He'll be possessive. That's the bad news. Like, it's always going to be possession. It will never not be possession, especially if he like insists on, marrying you, taking you from your past owner, your dad, and then him giving you his name and all of that. It's always going to be possession. It just is what it is, in my opinion, right? That's never going to change. You're always going to be like some kind of property to him. He might not think of it like that, but that's what it is. The good news is, there are some men out there that take really good care of their possessions. Okay? So I think maybe like the best case scenario would be you being treated like a prized cat or a prized car. That's why men compare women to vehicles so much, because they really do see us as property. So yeah, some sort of really nice prized something, some sort of possession. That's really the highest level and the best you can really hope for. Which, like I said, this video is all about knowledge, right? Taking in this information can help you kind of spot red flags that other people might not even think are red flags. For instance, if you know that men look at women like property, and if they love you, then they'll believe that you're their property, look at how men treat property that belongs to them, right? Men who break their possessions, right, in fits of rage and anger, like the ones who punch holes in walls or who treats their prized possession carelessly, recklessly, right? They drive crazy, they break TVs, remotes, video games, they smash board games, things that are theirs. How do they treat it? Because that can kind of give you an idea of your future, or an inkling of what you may possibly be treated like, because he's not going to really differentiate between you and something he really loves. Some men out here actually love their video games more than their girlfriends. That's their little ranking system they sometimes have. The goal is, if you do want a relationship, is to be the prized possession. Okay, the most valued, well taken care of possession of a man. But at the end of the day, you're still a possession. So that's just how it is. We just got to come to terms with that. Even if a man is like one of those that believe, oh, I can be careless with this because if it breaks, I'll just get another one, who believes everything is replaceable, that's a red flag. Okay? It sounds so silly, but it's a red flag, because this is how men look at you. They're going to think you're very replaceable. Oh, if I break her, I'll just get another girl. Use and discard. Pay attention to that. It's important. And another one is men who grew up with nothing and who don't share. That's a red flag, because then that means their possessiveness is out of control. And men who don't share are the same type of men that will not allow you to talk to other men, will not allow you to look at other men. They're obsessive because they never had anything growing up, that they're holding on obsessively to things that they believe are now theirs. Or if they used to have things taken away from them as a child, they'll be extra possessive, dangerous. If you want a relationship with a male, the gold standard is really to be treated like treasure, like a diamond. And you'll hear men compare women to diamonds, but that's the best case scenario, really. Anyway, guys, I hope you really liked the video. Let me know your thoughts on it, and feel free to give the video a like if you like it. Okay, have a good day. Thank you.